Hello? Okay. Got my hoodie on. Didn't know how to do the tying thing that you guys do. I just kept it Midwestern. Just dang on. Welcome back to Foster the Meeple. I am Kyle, and I'm back again. Today's video, I think we're going to start calling these King's Court, because my last name is King, and kings had courts, and courts rule out judgments. And I'm wearing a basketball hoodie, if you can't tell. And basketball players play on courts. So a good title is like a good elevator. It works on many levels. Yeah, that's not a bad joke. Today, we are going to go over one of my favorite games that was not on my top 10. This is Orléans by Reiner Stockhausen. And the old Orléans was put out by TMG. And if you want New Orleans, you have to go to Louisiana. You have to go to Capstone. Capstone publishes it now. Capstone's a good publisher. I'm sorry, please don't downvote this video. For this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go over how you play Orléans. It's not going to be like an in-depth review. I don't know if you'll be able to learn how to play the game from this, but I do want to give you kind of a feel of how the game works. And as I do that, I'm just going to tell you like why I think the mechanic is cool, what makes it set it apart from like other Euros and other styles of games. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Orléans is a bag building game, which means everybody has a bag of these little chits here. And I should note that these clankers do not come in the game of Orléans. You have to get these off of the BGG store. These are called Geek Up Bits. I will note that these are not necessary. I do like these, but the cardboard tokens that come in the game are really, really thick cardboard and actually pretty decent components for the game for how cheap it can be. But it's a bag building game. What that means is everybody starts with the same bag. Everybody has the same 4 pieces in their bag. And throughout the game, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be acquiring more of these chips to put in your bag. So when you pull them out, it can maybe lead to different actions. So let's kind of go over how you get those chips and what those actions are. Everybody has their own little player board here, and you can see there are different actions, and each action takes 2 or 3 different chips. And you can see that they all require different colors. Like this action takes a white worker, a brown worker, and a black worker. I don't know the thematic names of these workers, so I'll probably just call them by their color. Hope that doesn't take you out of it too much. What this does, this little action board here, is as you pull out your chips, everybody gets to pull out 4 at the beginning of the game, and they'll come into your market here. And they're not going to stay there. But you're going to put them down here in your market. And then simultaneously, every player is going to assign them to different actions. So if you drew all your 4, you could take your white worker, your blue worker, and your brown worker, put it here, go to the village action. After everybody simultaneously does that, everybody's done putting their chips down. In turn order, starting with the first player, you are going to carry out one of those actions at a time. So the actions in this green field here is going to be how you acquire new chips. Because you'll see that different actions require different colors. So the actions you want to do more often are the colors you want to grab because of probability. Math. Everybody loves math. So let's kind of go over what these different actions are. Monastery, very simple. You place a gray and a brown worker. You get a yellow worker, which these are called monks. Monks are wild. Monks Gone Wild. That was a popular video series, I think. But these can be placed anywhere on the board. These are fun, right? Because you can use them for anything. Versatile. The university is going to require 3 different workers. That gets you a gray chip. Gray chips aren't great. I'll tell you that right now. The university is important because each color, besides yellow, has a different track. And every time you acquire that chip, you also go up the track. So when you get a gray chip, you go up the gray track, and the gray track gets you books. Books are this smaller track which you can't see down here, and that's going to contribute to your in-game scoring. Before I go on, I know this is kind of sporadic. Let's go over how you're going to score points real quick since we just reached that little threshold. Scoring is going to be very simple. At the end of the game, you're going to count up all your money. Every dollar is a point. You're going to count up these items you acquire right here. Every item is worth a different type of point. So like cloth, very expensive. Cloth is worth 5 points at the end of the game, whereas like wheat, nobody cares about wheat. Wheat is 1 point at the end of the game. So there are 5 different types of items listed 1 through 5. So money, items, or goods, however you want to call them, are going to get you points. And then you're going to say like, well, you said books are worth points. Well, I'm getting to it. So books are going to get you up this track down here. And you may be able to see that there are stars throughout the track. Each star that you hit is going to be a multiplier for the other part of scoring. Your big points are going to come from this. Throughout the game, you're going to be putting down these Monopoly hotels on the map, which I'll dive into a little bit later. And you're going to be acquiring these citizens throughout the game, these little citizens right here. And you're going to take your houses that you've put on the map and your citizens, add them together, more math, and then you're going to multiply them by the star that you reached. So if you had 7 houses down and you had 4 citizens, that makes 11, and you reach the 5th star, you're going to get 55 points. Math, but very simple math. So that's why the doing up the book track is super important. It gives you a gray worker, which are not good. You definitely want to shoot up that book track to get some good points. All right, let's dive into the rest of the action, shall we? The village action is where you're going to be able to acquire a blue, a brown, or a black worker. When you go up the blue track, you're just going to get money. When you go up the black track, you're going to get these buildings, and these buildings are very important to winning the game because you're going to acquire these, and what these are going to do is they're going to make you asymmetric from the rest of the table. They could give you stuff like actions, like here is a space where you can go only to acquire 2 books, or they could be this action spot, which is going to get you money equal to the star you're at, and money is points. Some just can get you items. Some can let you redraw chips and pick which one you want to draw, which is going to matter because if your bag is stacked and you draw something bad, if you have that building, it's going to let you make up for that a little bit. So these buildings are important because from what I've seen, manipulating these buildings into combos is really how you're going to take advantage. It's like I said, everybody starts out the exact same. And yeah, buying the different chips and how you pull them and how lucky you get with the chips will determine the outcome, but it's not the only thing. So getting these buildings and manipulating this can really help out your bad luck or stuff like that. If you acquire a brown worker, you're going to go up the brown track. And every time you go up the brown track, you're going to get one of these cog wheels. And the cog wheels are awesome because you get to put those on any worker spot on your board. And that locks out that space for the rest of the game, making that action space cheaper. So you can go from this action, the castle action, from being worth 3 workers to being worth 2. And it's a good way to block out. If you haven't gone up the white track a whole bunch, maybe you block out a white worker because you know you're not going to be pulling a lot of white workers. So getting a lot of cogwheels is just going to make you more efficient, lets you do more actions equals more points, and points equals winning, and winning equals fun. And then we have the white worker, the farmhouse. And what the farmhouse does, you're going to shoot up the farmhouse, and every time you go up a different section, you're going to get a different item. You can kind of see, I look like Wilson from Home Improvement right now. I don't think so, Tim. That's Al, actually, not Wilson. Each item is going to be worth points, like I said. So you go up the farmhouse, you just get an item, those are going to be worth points. Now, don't get too attached to those items, because there are also going to be these things called events every round, and they may say something like you have to pay 3 of your items or you lose $5. And if you don't have the 3 items and you don't have the $5, you have to go through what's called torture. It's literally called torture. Torture is horrendous. If you undergo torture, because you can't get rid of items, you can't get rid of money, you have to start getting rid of other stuff, which means your hotel's off the map. You could have to start losing discs from your bag. You work so hard for those. You could have to lose cog wheels off your map. You have to start losing better stuff if you can't pay for these events. So yeah, items are worth points, but you're really probably going to be acquiring items to cover some of these events. Plus on the white track, if you're the farthest one up on the track, you're actually going to get $1 every round. And if you're the farthest behind on the white track, you are going to lose $1 every round. So just little extra motivation to go up the white track. So that's acquiring different workers. I hope that all made sense. Oh, I forgot one of the most important ones actually. My favorite color here, red workers here. Every time you acquire a red worker by going to the castle action, you get to draw more chips every round. So everybody starts by drawing 4 chips out of their bag, but every time you go up, you can draw 5 workers every round. Then you can draw 6, and then you can draw 7. And then if you reach the last spot, you can draw 8, filling your entire market up with workers, which is great because like I said, more workers equals more actions equals more points. I went over that already. So you're drawing chips from your bag, and you're like, you pulled the gray. No, I don't want grays. Gray, where are you gonna put a gray? Huh? You put a cogwheel on the monastery. There's nowhere else to put the grays. Seriously, these are trash. What are you going to do with it? Shoot it off into the sun, my friend. You are going to go to the town hall action, which lets you call your bag down. So anytime you draw a chip that you don't want and you don't want it in your bag anymore, you will go to the town hall and you will send him away. You'll say, thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so good. That's Fallout Boy. And when you send them off, where do they go? They got to go somewhere. Physics. They go to this map. Now, this is from the expansion, Trade and Intrigue. I'm showing off this board just because I like it more. It's a little bit better than the base board. The base game is fine, but after about 8 or 9 plays, you'll want the expansion because this board is just so much better. But when you send off one of your workers, you will place them on one of these spots and get a Benny. So if you're the first person to shoot off your gray worker here, you will lock down that spot for the rest of the game. No other gray workers can go to this spot. And that's going to get you a building. Remember how I said buildings were good? So not only did you make your bag better by getting rid of this stupid gray disc, it got you a building. That's awesome. If you're the last person to fill up one of the sections on the board, you're going to get another Benny. So like if for somehow this ever happened, 2 reds got put out first, and then a yellow got put out, which are wilds. It's going to be rare for that to come out early. And then you were the last person to put that gray worker down, and you closed out that section. Not only are you getting a building, you're also getting one of those magnificent citizens that are going to add to your multiplication at the end of the game. This board is another great way to manipulate your bag, help it parse down the bad stuff, but also get the benefits you need, like books and cogwheels and items and citizens. And this spot up here lets you shoot off people and just draw a new one from your bag and say, like, you had a bad draw, try to grab something different. So that's what that action does. The town hall, great space that you're going to want to manipulate when you play this game. These last few spots, another one of my favorite parts of the game here is going to be movement, because you may have seen when I was showing off the tracks that there is a whole map over here of the French countryside and Orléans up here. Ooh, the title of the game right here is where you start. You have a map over here, and like I said, you want to get houses out, right? Because that's going to contribute to your scoring. So up here is going to be how you move across the map. If you want to move across a waterway, you got a ship. If you want to move across a road, you've got to do the wagon. And then finally, if you want to place down one of your hotel, you've got to go to the guild hall. So when you move, you're going to have your little guy here, and I can't put him there as gravity is going to happen. But when you move your little guy through Orleans, goes to a little town, then you want to build, you're going to stake your claim on that city, and what that's going to do is block out that space to everyone else. That's right, my friends. This is a Euro game with some area control. You know I love it. So that is so much fun to lock that down. Your friend was on his way south as well, and you just said, "Nuh-uh, my friend, I'm taking Verizon." That can't be right. I'm reading it upside down. So you're going to put your little hotel there. You're going to stake that claim. Nobody else can put a building there. That is yours. You are going to score that. These are all the different actions you're going to do on your board. So really what you're trying to do is you're just trying to build up your engine of going to the castle maybe to draw more chips, maybe getting buildings early so you can start manipulating that early, building up the book track, because there's one thing I forgot to mention. These chips are all limited based on player count. So if somebody's really hammering that book track and you like, I don't want those gray workers in my bag, I'm gonna wait till the end to grab them. But oh no, they're all gone. So now you have to think of a different way to go up that track. And there are ways, usually by buildings, sometimes by events, stuff like that. So there are going to be ways, but like if you have to be cognizant of if somebody's shooting up a track, they are removing a finite resource from the game that you may need. That's the game in a nutshell. I hope that made sense. I'm kind of going to go over some ways that I think this game really sings for me, what I think makes it special. And the first thing is that this is a Euro game through and through, right? It's pretty themeless. I kind of have to make up my own thing. I like to say that I'm like playing a god and I'm manipulating these people to do my bidding. You're putting these hotels down and nobody else can go put a hotel down in a city because, I mean, these are small French towns in the 19th century. They have like 400 people. They don't need more than one hotel. It's themeless. It's a themeless Euro. I get it. But a lot of Euros don't tend to have a lot of interaction, and this has it. It has it with simultaneous play, which is kind of special. So you're going to be choosing your actions simultaneously, but when it gets towards the end of the game, you're going to tell your friends, hold up. You're the first player. I want to see where you put your actions, because if you guys are both down on the southwest side of the map and you're jockeying for position to put down one of your little hotels or trading stations or whatever you want to call them, you're going to want to see that he's doing it this round, because then you can just say like, there's no point to me to go there. I'm going to do something else. So simultaneously for like the first 70% of the game, and then you start looking around to see what everybody's doing, because you have to or you're going to lose. And then there's interaction on the map. Like I said, there's going to be interaction on that white track to see who's going to have to owe somebody money. There's interaction based on who's buying what. If somebody's going up the red track and you really want the red. One thing I didn't mention about the citizens is that you can see on some of the tracks, hopefully, that there's like shadow spots of citizens. Let's see if I can find one. Right here, if you're the first person to reach that spot, you're going to get that citizen tile. So you're like racing for all these things. It really gives some like indirect interaction that I really love in games. The other thing I like about this for being a Euro is it's got randomness. And randomness is exciting because you're drawing chips out of your bag, and it doesn't matter if you're drawing 7, you could still draw 3 bad ones, and you're just staring at your board like, how can I make this work? You say like, I got a yellow, that's great. So I'm going to make sure I definitely put that on my guild house. I got to do that this round. And you're like, oh, but I got to be able to move too. Okay, so I'm going to move first. I'm going to move the monk over there so I can make sure I can wagon. And then I guess I'll build next round. That stuff is really great. And some people are like, yeah, pulling chips from a bag, like that, say that for Quacks of Quedlinburg. I don't need that kind of luck in my Euro game. But I think this lets you mitigate it enough. Let me state right now, I've played this game like 11 times. I have never won. So take my advice with a grain of salt. I am giving you advice that I've seen my friends use, like the building stuff, like manipulating that. I've seen what works in this game. I just can't make it work. So do as I say. The best players will win this game every time. Luck has nothing to do with it. There's so many ways to mitigate it. You can start drawing more chips. You can go to the town hall to call your actions. You can be the person that makes the building stacks work for you. You can make these cogwheels, make your actions more efficient, knowing that you never went up the white track, so you're covering up all your white workers, so you don't even have to worry about it. I've seen so many different strategies work in this game as well. So I've seen somebody win by just like stacking up on the cloth, which is worth like 5 points. They got the cloth building. Every time you move around one of these roads, you get to acquire an item, probably if there's one there. And they just like hammered the cloth and got like 50 points by collecting 10 cloth. And that's like 1/3 of your score if you score well. So there's just so many different ways to win this game. And just pulling these tiles is just like really fun. I think I prefer like rolling dice a little bit more in terms of like randomness. But like if you get those BGG bits and you're just like clanking around and you're pulling those out and you're like, yes. It's like hitting the lottery, exactly the piece you needed. And it's not just the randomness from the bag, the randomness of the events that come out every round. Because some can be good, some can like let you, like this one right here. If you like hammer the white track, your white chips are wild for a round. I mentioned the trade and intrigue expansion before with the board. The trade and intrigue expansion also comes with like 30 new events, and you're only playing 18 rounds. So between the base set and the trade and intrigue set, you have so many events, and it's going to create such a diverse game for you because you don't know what's coming and you can't prepare for these. So it evens the playing field a little bit because you definitely just can't just math everything out, which is good for me because I'm not smart enough. I've never had a bad time playing it. I've played bad, and you can still come up with really cool turns, which I think is important. There are parts in Euro games especially where you could be getting hammered and it doesn't feel good. You're taking actions and your friends are taking like 9 actions. You're taking like 2 in a round and you're just like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Why am I not doing anything? Well, in Orléans, you could have a round like that. You could have a round where you're like, I'm doing 1 action, but the next round you're doing 4. And that is so much fun to be able to like recover like that. And you're like, I remember why I like this game. I don't know if I really have any digs against this game. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I thought I might have another land. I do not. So that is Orléans in a nutshell. If you think you would like to purchase Orléans, may I first suggest checking your friendly local game store. If you're ever up in Halifax, check out the Boardroom Game Cafe. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, please subscribe, please comment below. We would love that. If you would really like to dive into this game or any other topics, like what do we talk about? Gifts. We talk about gifts a lot. We talk about The Office quite a bit. We talk about nonsense quite a bit. If you ever want to just converse or like come at me about my takes, join the Discord. It's been so great this past few months being on the Discord. So if you want to just come talk games, there's so many great people in there. It's so much fun. Good way to pass some time during work. So please join us there. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay sweet. Ooh, that glare is bad. A great trip. You go up the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely a word. Sorry for hitting the mic. Hope that didn't make a sound. Where was I? Sorry, a little dead air. Sorry for the couple of minutes of dead air there, Jamie.